Hey everybody, this is Mike from Here the Watchman, and today on this edition of the Watchman's Report, we have an amazing guy. His name is Josh Tolley. He has a radio show called The Josh Tolley Show. It's on the GCN network. You can check it out anytime. You can look at the archives. He's just got some amazing shows out there. He's also a veteran of the Here the Watchman conferences. Josh, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, Mike, always great being with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good this morning. I see my dog standing at the door, so we may get some chirping out of the dog here in a minute, but that's okay. I've been barked at before by people, so it won't bother me. So, Josh, you've had some amazing interviews lately. I mean, just off the hook. And folks, if you Google Josh Tolley YouTube, you can check out some of these interviews. They're just, you know, if I could only interview people the way Josh does, I would die a happy man. But I want to talk to you about first the one that you had the other day, titled "Girl Accused of Murder," that deals with the Muslim and Sharia law. Talk to us a little bit about that and what that interview was all about to you.
Well, it was this woman who lived in Saudi Arabia with her family for a while. And it was very interesting to see the real application of Sharia. They lived on a compound for Westerners. So it was pretty much British, French, and American people who lived on the compound. But on the compound even, they were not allowed to worship God, to abstain from any sort of non-Islamic worship. And then once they left the compound, they were subject, of course, to the rules and laws of the nation, which to a certain extent, I get, it's their country. But it allowed her to see what it was really all about, what Sharia was about. And one of the stories that was really interesting was that they were at a restaurant, 12 or 13 years old at the time, and a man offered her father 4 or 5 goats, take her and just right there on the spot, take her away and have her as one of his wives. The culmination of that story was they were at the beach, at the sea, and there was nobody around. They were just by themselves, and then they were having a day at the beach, and they were wearing one-piece swimming suits. And these 3 men come along, and they start jeering them, start catcalling them. As this process happens, they're in the water, the guys are in the water, and one of the guys drowns. Like he drowns right there. The mom ends up trying to resuscitate this man. They wouldn't let her do mouth-to-mouth, obviously, because that would send him to hell. So instead, she was doing chest compressions while telling one of his friends how to do the mouth-to-mouth aspect. And they got him in a truck, and they took him to the local clinic to keep the chest compressions going until they got to the clinic. And instead of continuing chest compressions, and the mom was even saying how his color was coming back, they had a pulse or whatever. Instead of working on the guy who was dying, instantly went after her for being too revealing. The staff was starting to fight on who was going to cover up this woman who was in a one-piece bathing suit, and the guy died. He's laying there dead on the table now. Because he died, the Saudis were going after her and her family, including the girl who I interviewed, who was 12 or 13 at the time, for murder. Because if they weren't dressed as temptresses and whores, have been tempted to catcall and pursue them. And if he wasn't catcalling and pursuing them, then he wouldn't have died. So they were guilty of murder under Sharia. And it was her testimony of how that plays out in that country. And she had a bunch of other stories, heaps of sand where they would put body parts. But the real reason I did the interview wants to warn everybody what's coming. She lived this in the 90s. Saw it rush into Europe from about 1998 until today. I mean, Europe has been taken over. The Qatari royal family owns more of London than the royal family owns. I mean, Europe is gone. I'm saying, folks, this is coming to America, Don't be fooled by the fact that there are 350 million people in this country and the country's so big. Don't think, well, they're never going to get enough to influence America. They are already. Over 140 times, Sharia has already been used in U.S. courts instead of the United States Constitution. So people who think that this is going to happen everywhere else other than America are blind. But that was her story, and it's amazing, and it's up on YouTube. People can watch the whole thing.
Yeah, what I watched it, and it was amazing. I can't remember, what was her country of origin?
United States.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. It's just, it's amazing, folks. You got to go there and listen to this particular interview. So, you know, Josh, I'm going to be interviewing. We have Audrey and Brad. We're going to be interviewing them tomorrow. They're sort of our Canadian correspondents, and they have a whole take on all of this. What's happening in Canada right now with Sharia law and the Muslim agenda is just crazy. And so,
yeah.
Do you see this moving, you know, all throughout the West and in the United States? We've got Canada right on our border. Do you really see this whole thing really taking hold here in the United States?
Absolutely, and it already is. I mean, we had that female judge who was the first Islamic woman who ever sworn in as a judge in the United States, and coincidentally, they found her dead body in the Hudson River, and they think it's because of faith-related issues. We have honor killings all the time in the United States, and here's what's interesting about honor killings. We don't cover in the U.S. media all the murders. I remember I covered a story once where a guy murdered his mom, and it was just a son murders his mom, end of story. And I think, well, that's kind of odd. And then you figure out that the son was Muslim and he was murdering his mother as a way to restore honor to the family. But heaven forbid that story ever gets covered as an honor killing in the U.S. So even though there's admitted honor killings here, it's much worse than the media admits. In addition to that, policy that is being guided by Sharia. Not only have 140 cases in the U.S. been ruled by Sharia as opposed to the United States Constitution, but you also have lending institutions that are now complying with Sharia compliant as well. So it's affecting that. It's affecting restaurants, you know, getting rid of pork, which I'm okay with. I don't eat pork anyway. But to do it to Muslim pressure and aggression is ridiculous. You're seeing areas outside of Nashville. I just got back from Nashville last night, and there's areas outside of Nashville that are like little Kuwait. There's places outside of Minneapolis. There's places in Michigan. There's places in Wisconsin. So yeah, it's growing, and people think that this is just somehow an Arab issue. It's not. It's an ideology. It's a political ideology that's wrapped in a religion, and people convert to religions. So there's white Muslims, black Muslims, Asian Muslims, Hispanic Muslims, and that religion itself is growing at an alarming pace. It's the fastest growing religion in the United States. So we have to be very vigilant. Our study of the scriptures, our understanding of the U.S. Constitution. Because in a lot of these cases, they're using the Bible to convert Christians to Islam, and we are so ignorant of our own Bibles that we don't even see this threat coming.
Man, that is just off the hook crazy. You know, as we have talked about before, it's the stupidity, the sheer stupidity that just really I grapple with. You know, I mean, and you talked about it on your show today. A whole issue of someone that was trying to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. You know, I mean, how do we overcome this stupidity?
Well, we overcome the stupidity by no longer being a generation that wants news in 2 headlines or 5-minute YouTube clips. That is aiding to our stupidity. It really is. I mean, society is telling us now that we have an attention span that's shorter than a goldfish. No joke. We have an attention span that's shorter than a goldfish. We want all of our YouTube videos in 8 minutes or less. You know, we are in society. We are seeking information instead of wisdom and understanding. So we need to get back to going after wisdom and understanding. We need to read whole books again. We need to read whole newspaper articles again. And we need to develop that ability to think and reason. And that's what we've lost. And you reference this story where this guy just gets berated on Cinco de Mayo for wearing a poncho. It was some racial sort of bigoted, hateful thing, and it's not. And I find that so hypocritical. Notice how they will sell you a poncho in Mexico. They will sell you a sombrero in Mexico. But if you buy it, now you're a racist? So if you celebrate their victory over the French, you're a racist? And I would bet you dollars to donuts, just like here in America, if you ask most people who are offended at non-Mexicans celebrating Cinco de Mayo, they won't even know what holiday they're really celebrating. They won't know it's the Mexicans' victory over the French at all. They'll think it's, who knows what. So the reality is that we have to stop being so offended, seek out wisdom and understanding. I mean, the Bible tells us, in all you're getting, get understanding. It tells us, come, let us reason together. So that's what we have to do. But that's becoming harder and harder and harder. Fewer people want those things. That we've become very narcissistic. We've become very instant gratification oriented. And if that's going to continue, then America won't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, listen, you had another report that was, I mean, I was blown away. And what that is, the title of it is The Mystery Behind Suicides, Jason Chaffetz. Now, tell us about that. Yes.
So a lot of people are wondering, why is Jason Chaffetz retiring? First going to not serve out his term. Then he said that he might even leave. Then he left and said he had to leave because of a foot injury, and it's a medical issue, so he's not even going to, be there right now. But what's interesting is that foot issue that was so severe that it would keep him from sitting in a chair and voting has not kept him off of television. So he's been traveling around like a busy little beaver. So I'm not buying the whole my foot hurts thing. What's interesting about this, though, we did an interview with a guy who runs a museum. It's up there by you, actually, kind of somewhere. But he runs a museum, and he found a bone on one of his archaeology trips. And the bone, he sent it into the national lab because that's what you do. Maybe you have to. So he sent the bone in. He got the report back, buffalo bone, so he put it on display. Well, a little while later, his museum is raided by armed SWAT team from the Bureau of Land Management because, Bureau of Land Management needs a SWAT team, right? They keep all of him and his employees at gunpoint for 8 hours while they ransack the museum. And they tell him that they're going to charge him with murder and that the bone he found was the bone of a little girl, so he better confess to murder. He doesn't go to prison for life, take a plea deal, serve 8 years instead of 80. Well, this is what happens a lot. There's this tendency for the government to put out charges on you, charge you with something, threaten you with a life in prison unless you plea, and people think, well, everybody who pleads is guilty. Don't want to serve 80 years, so they'll serve the 8. Well, he decided to fight it. It turns out the bone was buffalo bone. But he said that this trend is really alarming because the Bureau of Land Management, a lot of people. In this short time of researching this, there have been 4 suicides of people that were raided by the Bureau of Land Management on false accusations, including one which was an amateur archaeologist and a doctor in Utah. The doctor ended up killing himself because now the Bureau of Land Management threatened to make his life a living hell. How do you fight something when you know you're going to lose, but the truth is not being allowed into the case? So he brought attention to all these suicides that are happening from people who are being charged with federal crimes when no crime actually happened.
Wow. I mean, that's that, where I live, and I'm not going to say where I live, but where I live, no one up here is a friend of the BLM. And let's just think about that for a minute. Bureau of Land Management, do we really need that? What do you think? Do we need a bureau to manage our land?
No, no, and that's where it ties into Jason Chaffetz, because one, we're not supposed to even have it. The federal government is only supposed to have the 10 square miles that is Washington, D.C. That's all they're supposed to have. Anything other than that, for like a military base or something, they're actually supposed to lease from the state. So this idea that the Bureau of Land Management now owns the majority of Western America, and that's how it ties into Jason. Because Jason has a bill that he proposed to end the Bureau of Land Management. Multi tens of billions of dollars of industry. Remember, Hillary Clinton used the Bureau of Land Management to secure uranium rights for the Russians. So the Bureau of Land Management is something that is extremely profitable for the deep state, the shadow state. Well, here comes this politician who's threatening to shut it down. Well, next thing you know, his term and he wants to resign. Wait a second. You have all these people who are committing suicide and a politician willing to resign, and they have one common denominator. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to say, hey, wait a second, at least we should look at that common denominator. And a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it's that bill, the proposal that has angered the deep state, him, blackmailed him, done whatever. But there's something suspicious behind the, hey, I'm not even going to serve out my term, when only a month ago, this guy was like the next rising star and he might become president of the United States and all that sort of stuff. So you go from I'm here for the long term to I might quit next week, and the ties those two together is the proposal to shut down the BLM.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what the government will do and what they'll say and the way they play the game. I mean, yesterday, if you noticed, the Hanford, Washington nuclear disaster or emergency was a real big deal. And we're covering it. We did a report on it yesterday. We did a report on it this morning. The interesting thing about this morning is I couldn't find it anywhere. I was trying to look for an update on what was going on. I searched. I went to Steve Quayle's site, nothing. Couldn't find it out there anywhere. Finally found a little blurb in the Spokesman's Review, a Seattle-based paper. But the amazing thing is, they just come out and say, "Oh no, everything's fine now. Don't worry about a thing. It's all fine. We have it under control." But yet they go on to say that they're not exactly sure. And I'll read this. They're not exactly sure how the hole, estimated to be 400 square feet, will be plugged or covered, or how long that will take. It remained unclear Tuesday. Officials said they are exploring placing a barrier between the contaminated equipment inside and the outside air without causing the hole to grow bigger. Now, you know, then they go, this is great, Josh, you got it. Then they go further. And this comes directly from the Hanford facility and from the Department of Resources. It says, certainly the cleanup includes technical challenges and hazards. Sometimes you run into unexpected situations like this, and our employees are trying to figure out a path forward to deal with it. Now, does that just frighten you right there?
Oh, absolutely. Because remember, these are the same people that said that Fukushima was safe, and how they deemed it was safe was they raised the level in which we deem safe. So that's what happened. You know, I don't know what the number was, but let's say it's 100 parts per million was deemed safe. Fukushima raised us to 300 parts per million. So instead of fixing Fukushima situation, they just said, well, 300 parts per million is safe. And I think somewhere I saw this morning, associated with that, there's like not an evacuation, but like a stay-in-place sort of order that's gone out to people. Well, if this was safe, why do we need to put any sort of hazard sort of precaution around it? So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And things like this happen. It's almost ludicrous of us to think that we can deal with a substance that is so dangerous and somehow be able to protect it for the next 48,000 years. Corruption.
Well, yeah, I mean, and here the interesting thing when you dig into the research is that this was a nuclear facility built in the 40s. It was the facility that put together not the bomb, but they put together the plutonium and the uranium for the bomb. And you know, it's been there forever, and it's been closed down for years because it's such a toxic mess sitting right on the Columbia River. And now all of a sudden, they're saying sometimes you run into unexpected situations like this, and our employees are figuring out a path forward to deal with it. Like you didn't already have a plan?
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, and that's the real deal right there. So let's with the time we have left today, Josh, as I mentioned, Josh Tolley is I think what, three or four time Hear the Watchman veteran. He's been there, does an amazing job. You know, he has a book, The Evangelpreneur. He's also has a new book that will be ready, I guess, soon. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Matter of fact, we might actually be able to start telling people about that at this upcoming Hear the Watchman. So people need to get there for that.
Well, you know, Josh does an amazing job. We're going to have him. We did this in Dallas, Texas. Not only did he speak, but he does we're going to call it a breakout session or a class, and we're going to do the same thing. It was so successful. I mean, we had to turn people away. That's how many people wanted to hear his message after he gave his presentation. We're going to do that same thing in Boise. And folks, I got to tell you, the Boise conference is not just a conference. It is an experience. It's called the Sign in the Heavenlies, the Redemption Convention. It goes from August 18th through the 21st. And on the 21st, we're going to get on some tour buses, those of you who want to, and we're going to go up the Continental Divide. And we're going to go to a spot up there that is the perfect location to view this total eclipse. And we're going to pray. And I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. I mean, maybe the best part will be I'll get a picture of Josh Tolley wearing his, his goggles we purchased. But, we're just so blessed that you're going to be there. And let me tell you something else about Hear the Watchman, folks, how it works. Okay. Josh and his wife, Brittany, and Jeannie and I have become like family. We actually we were so blessed that we were able to go back to their wedding, and Josh has seen miracles happen. He saw an engagement in Knoxville, and that couple came to Dallas. They're a married couple now, and we have another couple who got engaged in Dallas, and I think they're actually going to get married at the conference in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love Hear the Watchman, and I love doing those breakouts. You know, we have gotten contacted by no less than, I would say, half a dozen couples, even since the last Hear the Watchman, who their marriage has been fixed and repaired and renewed because of the marriage panel that we started the conference with, and then what I was teaching during the breakout session. And you take those two things together, and they said, man, our family is flowing like it hasn't flowed since the first year we got married. And that's why I think people need to get to these Hear the Watchman conferences. They're always different. Everything is fresh and new. You meet people, you experience things, miracles happen, transition happens, change happens, and people are always looking for, what do we actually do? Wondered that, then get to the Hear the Watchman conference.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that, Josh. And folks, again, go to hearthewatchman.com. Check it out. Get a ticket. If you get a ticket by May 15th, you can still get the early bird rate. After that, the price will increase by $20 for the conference ticket. So get on there today, get it booked. And I do want to say, for those of you who can't get on the bus and go up the hill, there will be people caravanning in cars. So if you're a local coming to the conference, you can do that. The other unique thing is the actual day of the eclipse, September 21st, is Pastor Paul Bagley and his wife Heidi's wedding anniversary. I think it's 30.
Oh, cool.
35th, and we're going to all
Whoa.
celebrate that. We have a lunch that we're doing on Sunday to celebrate that, and we're just going to have a great time. And we are just so excited that Josh, you and Brittany will be a part of it.
I am so excited to be there. I was telling your wife when she was on our show, I want these things to continue. I want to say, you know what, this is my 22nd Hear the Watchman, because these things are so amazing. The transformations that happen and the information that's given. I cannot express to people enough. You need to get there. I do a lot of speaking, a lot. Like every weekend I'm someplace. Watchman is by far one of my favorite things to do, because you get to interact with people. You get to talk to the speakers and meet with them, and you know, it's something that doesn't happen in other venues. So if you are a fan or interested in anything that you've seen in any of these Hear the Watchman Journey videos, you need to get to this event, because these videos are just the tip of the iceberg. And especially with those lunches, I want to urge people, because I'm assuming it's going to be similar to last time, get a ticket for the lunch too, because how that worked, so cool. All the speakers sat at a table, who bought lunch tickets, got to pick the speakers that they sat with, and it was like 2 hours of like small group session with your favorite speakers. It was just, so get to this event. It's definitely worth every penny.
Yeah, and it's, you know, that folks, what Josh was just mentioning, the lunch is a wonderful fellowship opportunity. I mean, here are the Watchman conferences, when Jeannie and I had the vision to do them, which was given to us by God. I mean, you want to call me the guy with a tinfoil hat for saying that, that's fine with me. But that was truly what happened. It's not all about the speakers and sitting there listening to what they have to say. That's the integral part. I mean, that's why you come. But the fellowship that develops between folks, and meeting people from cities around the country, and having a network now, that's what's important, because the times are short, you know. So Josh, in the closing moments, tell us how people can find you. Tell them how they can get to your show and listen to it. Let us know how to find you.
Well, they can all find me at the next Hear the Watchman conference in Idaho. That's where they need to find me. So they can find me there. But they can also go to joshtully.com. The Josh Tolley Show airs Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It airs on stations all across the country. We also have a brand new app. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys. We have a brand new app, Tolley Show app. You can go to your Apple App Store or your Play Store if you're on Android. Get the Josh Tolley Show app. It lets you listen to the show, watch all of our videos, call into the show with a push of the button, all that sort of cool stuff. The books, I got Evangelpreneur, Quit Your Job or Die, I Predict, and then the one that we're about to release, and I'll tell everybody about that in Idaho. That book is going to change other people about God. It's going to change how you approach your family and friends in getting them saved. It's going to be a seismic shift in what we perceive as evangelism. So we'll talk about that in Idaho. PurpleMonkeyUniversity.com, PurpleMonkeyGarage.com. We have those as well. But just Google us. Just keep watching the Hear the Watchman's Journey, and you know, follow them, and we're always close by each other. So that's how you find us.
Well, Josh, God bless, and thank you again for joining us. Say hello and give your beautiful wife a hug from both Jeannie and I.
I will.
Folks,
I will, absolutely.
Folks, you want to go to the Josh Tolley Show. As I mentioned, my mantra here is don't be a part of the sheeple, be a part of the people. You know, listening to us, listening to Josh, you get the real news, you get the real deal, and you get a biblical sense on all of that, how it ties into the Bible and prayer and what we need to do and look for moving forward. So until see you on the next episode of the Watchman's Report, God bless each and every one of you, and have a wonderful day.
Amen.